and it's disheartening.
I'll tell you a story. I think the people who have watched my content consistently know about this. It was called some refer to it as ad rights sales, ad rights buying. Back in the early 2010s, these up and coming digital media outlets would sell the rights. What they would do is they would buy the rights to views. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're a company called like badbehavior.com. You know, some word that represents people.
Why'd you pick one that is clearly going to direct people to hardcore pornography?
That's what it sounds like, badbehavior.com.
Yeah. All right, let's just say
goodbehavior.com.
Skittles and Rainbows website, okay?
Okay, that's another one that you don't want to go to, Skittles and Rainbows. I mean, seriously, you don't, nope. I'd rather go to badbehavior.com than to go to Skittles and Rainbows. I'm just saying. That's just me. Not that anything's wrong with you if you want to go to Skittles and Rainbows. Feel free.
And same.
Big. Okay.
Bodacious M&M's.
Let's say you're a big brand, and you get about 30 million views per month. Mm-hmm. That's not going to cut it. You can sell a premium idea. There would be these low tier websites. You've seen them before. You'll see an ad and it'll say, "Guess what this celebrity looks like now." You click it. Mm-hmm. And then it'll say, here's the celebrity throughout 25 years. And every photo has 50 ads. And you click next, and it loads a new page with 50 ads. What they're doing is harvesting views.
Right.
So then this website that nobody knows the name of, nobody visits, tricks you into collecting a view. They then sell the rights to those views to a premium network. The premium network then goes to advertisers and says, our network gets 200 million views per month. Right. And if you advertise with us, you are in that network. And in reality, you only get 30, but they bought the rights to those
meanwhile,
ads.
there's some kid who's actually getting 10 million views, right?
Wow, they bought the rights to other people's views. So now they can sell it as if they're receiving all them views. That is genius. Wow, I guess you got to have money to make money. It take money to make money is what I heard. I heard that before.
Right. Meanwhile, there's some kid, and he doesn't get the same advertiser rates because he gets burned. And then those kids drop out. Does anyone ever wonder why the burnout rate is so high in this industry? There are so many good people. I mean, you can go back to when I was on PJTV in 2009. People who I worked with, good, solid people who, by the way, had skin in the game, who had a lot to lose. And you'll never hear from them again because they just go, I'm out. They get disenfranchised. They get disenchanted. And that's the issue. Look, it doesn't affect me. I'll be fine either way. But we've always talked about building a bench, and I've always talked about wanting to be able to pass the torch. It's not possible to do this way. And by the way you know this is true is right now I have said I don't want to do this. Again, I've been thinking about this for a long time, trying to work behind the scenes, trying to work within the system until I realized there's just no interest in doing it that way. And then you say, okay, is our move, this is why we lose. Conservatives wonder, what the hell, with the midterms, what the hell happened? Why do you think? Why do you think people like Lindsey Graham, like Mitch McConnell, nothing personal against them, why do you think that there are people out there and you go, how do they not get voted out? Why do you think these are our decisions for speaker? These are our choices. Why do you think you constantly lose? Because the people who really do want to be the vanguard at the cutting edge, they burn out and they leave because they can't compete against it. And that's the issue.
I got to tell you, man, I make this point all the time where I just say, for all the people who are claiming I'm a grifter or I only want money and that I don't really believe the things I'm fighting for, I'm like, it would be so much easier to sell everything, shut it all down, and just buy some properties, rent them out, and not have to worry about any of this.
Take money and shut up, right?
Take money and shut up. But it's not about what's easy.
Yeah.
It's about what matters.
Yeah. And by the way, we want...
Oh, and I'm glad, I respect them for that because they can just take their ball and go home if they wanted to. And they will live great for years. For the rest of their life, they will live very comfortably. So yeah, they could do that, but there's a mission in their heart. They understand what's going on in the world, and they understand all the people that depend on them, and their voice. That's a blessing, man. That's a blessing. Tim Pool has a great deal of people who depend on him and his voice. Steven Crowder have a great deal of people who depend on him and his voice. Because they both bring their own thing to the table, their own separate thing to the table, which is absolutely phenomenal. Man, bless these young guys, man. I don't know how old they are, but I know they're younger than me. Bless them, man. They're doing their thing. That's amazing, bro.
I want you guys to make money. We want every conservative in this space to run a profitable business. That's what I run. I own a wine
started
business.
Manuka honey back there.
Yeah. We want people to make as much money as humanly possible, but do it honestly. And just be honest with people about how you're going to spend that money as well.
Well, there's the issue too. When you're talking about honesty, is it just friends or is it just business? You kind of have to pick one. Is it a lash out or is it premeditated? You kind of have to pick one. Look,
let's
yeah, go ahead.
I do want to talk about the friend versus business thing, but I do want to first jump into a segment where we can talk about $50 million.
You're right, best auntie ever. He never even stopped after he was demonetized for years. So that he couldn't have been in for the money.
The big narrative that we were hearing about your argument.
Well, it's not anymore, right? They changed it to the phone call. That was the initial narrative, which was a lie. That's a tactic of the left. Gaslight.
Let's do the context here.
Yeah.
You put out a video. You mentioned, look at these fees. It's,
I never mentioned money outside of what I believe were immoral penalty fees. I never talked. You've never heard me say, "Hey, not enough money was offered." That's not what it's about.
So when we first were watching the show and we talked about it, I said, "What's the fee? We don't know." And then the Daily Wire's response, of course, was, "We offered this guy $50 million."
Basketball money.
Basketball money. The response then from detractors and most people was, "Holy crap!" And they're imagining Steven Crowder in a big private bank vault diving into a bunch of gold coins. When in reality, the $50 million included the entire budget for your whole staff, your whole production facility, every production you would have done, meaning you've got to pay, how many employees do you have?
About 25, soon to be 30 something.
Soon to be 30 something. Now, if you want to do production on a skit, we're talking maybe 30 to 50K, depending on the size of the skit.
Yeah. Every time we show up to do a change my mind, it's $50,000.
Security,
millions in legal each year, millions of dollars in
every
equipment, payroll, millions of dollars in taxes. It's the merging of, what was that?
It's theft.
Yes, I completely agree.
But let me just say,
Wheelhouse.
I'm on your side on this one. Everybody can know my bias. The reason that really bothered me is because I run a company. I know how much money we make. And there are people who assume that revenue equals money in your pocket profit. And it's like, no. If they're giving him $50 million, it sounds so wonderful.
They're assuming you're dumb. They're treating the audience like they're dumb. Again,
well, no. A lot of people don't.
But here's
don't understand this.
People don't understand because they're assuming that you won't go and do research. Look, $50 million basketball money versus $12 million. If let's say Marvel says, I don't know, the new Thor movie is $200 million. Is that Hemsworth's salary? It's that simple of an analogy.
Yeah.
But the issue here, and I'll let Gerald kind of talk about that more. The issue here is like I think that these people at Daily Wire, they've said that they're very business savvy. They're running a business. So, are they very business savvy? Are they dumb and don't know that $12.5 million a year for an entire production house is what we're actually looking at? Or are they lying when they say it's basketball money and $50 million salary? I think Candace Owens at one point got up to like 140 or something on the. I don't
So
really.
you said you wanted $30 million a year or 140.
And the only reason people know that's not true, and you've seen the transcript, you ever see me once say, "Hey, it's about more money"? There was never an offer sent after I said, "Look, it's a non-starter if you don't change these terms, and please tell me that you're not doing this with other people." There was never anything after that where it was, of course, the non-starter is, I can't do 5 live reads because we do commercials.
I just want to ask one specific question because a lot of people are bringing this up and they're accusing you guys of only exposing them after they turned down your counteroffer. Is that true, or can you add more information to that?
Yeah, I don't know why they're saying the timeline that he kind of gave was completely inaccurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of people were sticking to. Like, he was so calm and so laid back, but he brought up that $50 million a great number of times. But then he also said you wanted $120 million. 120 million. He said, well, no, we just couldn't do that. And he said after that, you would not even go back and forth. You wouldn't even negotiate with them.
Yeah, there was never any counter offer from us. What Steven said was basically, look, guys, these are the terms that we have a problem with.
Right.
And if this, I don't care what the contract says dollar-wise. If these terms are in there, that's bad, and you need to start again. This has to be pulled out.
So there was no counteroffer because I'm seeing a lot of you guys say
there was the agent. I think my agent. The first they sent this term sheet. The agent said, "Well, if you're talking about 100% ownership, by the way, in perpetuity, forever, meaning, and it's a 6-year contract with no option to negotiate. They have an option to extend for 2 years, 6 years, locked in at that rate. And again, how do you penalize someone for money that they don't make? They're not going to lose money on you being demonetized. Now, I get that I'm a special situation, but they said this is demanded of everybody. The big con issue is something that I've been running up against, and everyone in this industry knows for many, many years. They just were arrogant enough to out themselves and to put it in writing and to say, we know how to run this business. We figured it out. You don't know what you're talking about. And, of course, after that, another last straw was, then going and trying to take take our social media director, and I only showed you that email because he's willing for me to show you. Like, we have our people poached all the time. When you have your ideas stolen and they put more money behind it, not just mine, when you build someone up and someone else comes in and says, hey, we'll offer you more money, they use them for 6 months and burn them out. I'm sure that's an accident. I'm sure the people at the top of Daily Wire didn't know when they reached out to someone who was not looking for a job, who loudly and proudly advertises himself as social media director for Loud Earth Crowder. But I could tell you that on that phone call, they said, we have an entire social media department. Right? I said, I have one guy, Gary, and he's awesome. A few days later.
Few days later, they hit up his guy. That is dirty. That is dirty. How come I didn't hear that in any one of the videos? None of them. How come they left that out? That's something I would like to see, man, because that's disingenuous AF. Like, if this is what y'all are about, man, talk about it. Y'all are simply saying, look, this means war. I told y'all. I knew I smelled that from Jeremy Boring. When he was talking, I was like, man, this is about he feels like he's in a bigger position than Steven Crowder, and Steven Crowder should have been kissing the boot that he walks on for simply offering him anything. He said, we supposed to go back and forth. Come on, I run a corporation, a big corporation. You've never run anything like that before. You've always been small time. You need this. So take it. Come on, we do it for many people. We've done it for this person and that person and that person and this person. Oh, you don't want to work with us? Fine, we'll take one of your guys. Nah, you're not taking one of his guys. Wow, I can't say I'm surprised. I'm not surprised.
I do want to dedicate more time.
Did Gary join Daily Wire?
Well, no, they came in and tried to hire him. He's not looking for a job.
I want to dedicate some more time to starting from the beginning of the context of that story. But I wanted to address something before Luke jumped in.
How dare you, Luke?
Yeah, how dare you, Luke?
I got to ask Florida.
No.
Go to Florida.
I'm sitting here.
That was a good question. I'm not saying it. I want to put a tag in this. And one of the big things we're hearing is a friend. You guys were friends, and the recording of the phone call and stuff. And thinking about the contract, 4-year contract with option to renew for 2, locking you in at that rate, 12.5, including the entirety of your staff. And it's just business. And I'm kind of like, I hear that. It's not something friends offer their friends.
No, is it boilerplate? We send this to everybody? Or is it a friend? You know what it costs to have a lawyer mark up a term sheet? It ends up being thousands of dollars, especially when it's like, hey, look, hit select all, delete. None of this makes sense. This isn't for someone who's been demonetized. But the problem, and that's when it came down to, you heard in that phone call. I said, take me out of it, right? This is not the right fit, period. I knew that. Please tell me that these are not the terms that are demanded. Penalties that you are monetized on YouTube, that you remain on Facebook, that you stay in. Please tell me these are not the terms that are demanded of everybody. And I said, those were the last words. And he said, yeah, maybe I'll take it under advisement. And then you go, okay, all right, this is where we are. There's no hope for the movement if we claim to be fighting big tech and we sell out the people who are paying us to do so and fighting on behalf of big tech. I'm sorry, it is something, it's wrong.
Wow, he discovered that his boys over at Daily Wire was more, they really didn't care about the people as much as he thought they did. By simply looking at the initial write-up, I told you once we was checking out Michaela Peterson. We was looking at her. I don't think her last name is Peterson. Is her last name Peterson anymore? Or is she married? Anyway, Michaela Peterson. We was watching her video. I was saying that, dang it, I forgot what I was about to say, and it was going to be good too.
Earlier in the show, you mentioned that. I think you mentioned this in the show that you were in Hollywood. You were doing the standard talent route, and then you decided to come out on YouTube as a conservative, and it basically cost you a lot. You lost your manager. You don't come off to me as a lot of, Candace was on the show and she said he's doing it for money. It's so obvious. Why can't people see it? And I'm thinking about that, and I'm like,
do you believe that?
No, I don't.
Well, they're accusing you of counter offering.
But I understand that. But the first thing I thought was, I'm like, Crowder's already rich. You know what I mean? Like, I understand people are looking at contracts and money.
Not really like you'd think. I mean, if they want to do personal tax returns and business tax returns and the charitable givings, we can do that.
This is
we can do that.
Again,
we can do it through a third party and seal them because I get private information. We can do that. Gerald will tell you.
This is again, people like why I care about the subject matter so much.
Yeah.
Running this business and making lots of money. I often say, For a guy like me, who growing up in Chicago and being close to the bottom of the totem pole as an American, which is great for the rest of the world. I mean, for the rest, America's awesome.
Right.
The poorest person is wealthy compared to everybody else.
Right.
But there's a certain point in terms of
That's true. That's why it bugs me when people always say that they want to go and they would much rather be in another country. I mean, I get it for vacation or if you got the funds for it, but you've been living so well that even if you have far less than what you have living in another country, then you'll still live well because you're used to the United States. You're like, wow, this is something. I can do this. So it's crazy, man. But you all see when people want to escape their country, what country do they come to? They come to the United States of America.
Awesome.
Right.
The poorest person is wealthy compared to everybody else.
Right.
But there's a certain point in terms of having things that I could have ever wanted, and it's a very, very low bar.
Right.
You know, I'm making it once I got hired by Disney, the Disney Fusion, they're paying me $250K. I'm staring at money I have no idea what to do with.
Right.
Beyond that, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to do everything I can.
But this is the thing. The dialogue shifted to money, 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 money. You heard me say this is wrong, and then it's money, 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 just a business. And then it's this is wrong. Money, 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 this is just a business. Look, it's not just a business. And by the way, when you're talking about business, find out what motivates the people you're in business with. I'm not motivated by money. That's not what motivates me. If you look back at the track record in 2009, it was because I wanted to see the system burn, meaning as far as the system that kept conservatives in line. And I mean the liberal system, but then when you realize that it's on your own side, I'm not motivated by money. And by the way, don't leave someone with nothing to lose. You know the easiest situation is take the money, shut up. Second easiest is go bet on yourselves. You've seen the numbers that we've given you there. And guess what? You make more money, you shut up. The option of say no and say, look, this is wrong and speak out is significantly harder than any of the other paths.
The two things I want to say is, my point on the money was I view you in a similar way, that you're ideologically driven, that if you have the resources to do what you want to do and you're living comfortably and taking care of your family, beyond that, I don't see you as the kind of guy who's like, I don't have an infinity pool and 3 Ferraris in my garage. So when they say Crowder is just...
What's the infinity pool? Is that the
edge?
It's where the edge goes off, like, and so, yeah.
It looks like a horizon.
I have no idea.
That sounds nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind one.
Sewer, that's
right. But the question is, if you had the choice between an infinity pool and a young, a talented personality who was going to help change the shape of this country for the better, I think you're going to choose to change the shape of this country for better. That's my view of you.
The only issue I have is when that's used and it hurts people because sponsors drop out because they don't get their money's worth. Again, I could tell you that, but would those receipts be a betrayal? Because this industry fundamentally needs to change. People are investing in you and in us and in what you're saying. Right? If you can't say what it is that you're saying right now, let's say if you send a contract and said, yeah, but you know what? We have a lot of buddies in those systems. You're selling out the people who are supporting you. I'm not saying that I have all the answers, but the first answer, and I've said, we won't talk about this again. If someone takes a pledge alongside me, anyone in BigCon, just the only thing that I ask is that you do not punish conservative content creators on behalf of big tech. That's it. Start with that. Let's start with that before we...
Thank you. He's talking about me and other creators that are out here, man, that are getting our stuff sliced in half because y'all are scared to talk about certain type of things, man.
Get to everything else, right? So a lot of times people want the entire solution. Just start with that. You won't be penalized 25% if you're demonetized on YouTube by the people who are supposed to be fighting for you.
Now let's address the argument there.
Yeah.
The argument they've made is why should we be the ones to lose money if you're removed from the platform and not making money?
And that sounds really great, right? It's a partnership. That's what they were talking about. They were trying to pick like a partnership and put it into contract form, or at least in this, like a term sheet, right? Well, what it didn't take into account, honestly, is what if Steven, okay, it's $12.5 million. What if he's making them 30? What if he's making them $30 million
That's a starting point,
a year?
As a guarantee.
Yeah. What if he's making them $30 million a year, and all of a sudden, instead of making 30, you subtract 2 from that. So it's fine to share in these things when the expenses come up, but when the upside comes up, we're not really in a partnership anymore.
This
wasn't about money, guys.
We would be the only ones at risk.
It's disingenuous.
The only ones at risk. I'm already demonetized.
I can hear Jeremy being like, "It was a term sheet. I would have negotiated." I can hear him.
Well, look, I can write that I want to have sex with your wife on a term sheet. Oh, I thought you were going to redline it.
Candace, according to Michaela and Candace, all you had to do was take 5 months to negotiate your contract, your term sheet, 5 months to negotiate, because then you will get everything you want. They got every single thing they want. they got to work within that machine and they can't say certain things, but they got everything they want, allegedly. But Michaela said they got everything they want and a bag of chips.
Okay, George Costanza. I had sex with your wife.
This is a good point. It penalized you. It's if you get banned, you lose X%. And
no matter how much you're making.
45.
No matter how much you're making,
no.
And no matter how much you lose.
Yeah.
If you lose $0, they penalize you.
And the penalties add up to 110%. And they said in their own video, this is demanded of all creators, right? Does anyone disagree that that's what was said? This is what everyone signs. Now here's the issue with that. Again, you don't put it in if you don't want that.
The counterpoint, Candace said, is she negotiated. She hired a lawyer.
Yeah.
Steven Crowder has the resources to hire a lawyer and redline this.
Sure.
She put on her.
I thought we were good friends.
I figured out why Candace was so pissed last week when she came in.
Yeah,
I figured it out. I'll tell you about it in a second.
I want to let's talk about the friends thing. This is actually a really good point. You recorded co-CEO of Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, on a phone call.
Yep.
He says, "I thought we were friends."
Yep.
A lot of people have said, "Wow, that was a messed up thing to do." It sounds like what you're saying in the context we were just talking. They sent you a business contract that was very bad, that penalized you 110% if all fees are applied, more money than they would actually pay you. And it didn't take into consideration if you made them more money. It didn't take into consideration how much money you made them. It didn't take into consideration if you were banned from Facebook, but Facebook generated no revenue. They still penalized you.
That's part of it.
So here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm thinking. If the question is, and I do have qualms about recording the recording, but we'll get into more detail. Mm-hmm. They say you were supposed to be friends. Why would you record your friend's phone call? Mm-hmm. Well, there's an interesting point to be made. Why would your friend send you a very, very bad contract that felt exploitative?
And why would a friend not listen to you when you say, take me off the table, it's not a fit? There was never, just to be clear, there was never another offer that came through after I said, these are the non-starters. The penalties for big tech, right? The owning of people's names, image, likeness, their platforms are in perpetuity long after they leave. I said, then we can talk about the money, right? He said they came in low, and I'm sure my gay Cuban hardcore right-wing agent came in high. You find that, but it's like, but there can't be any terms without this. Once I said that can't happen, then these terms, the big tech penalties.
You see, my gay Cuban hardcore right wing was lawyer. Why you had to say gay Cuban hardcore right wing lawyer?
That's when talks completely stopped. It was never changed and said, of course, all these. It's like you saw in their first video. We have to make money.
They outright said that fee structure couldn't be changed.
Yeah, there was never another offer after that. I said, look, this is the sticking point. You have to get rid of all of these.
Change it.
And also, we can't do this. I'd love to sit from one business owner to another. You don't have to do it this way, right? A good example is, look, I feel vulgar talking about numbers. Election night. Okay, election night. We had been suspended for having Carrie Lake on. The entire Daily Wire cast on YouTube, less than a quarter of the viewers that we had on Rumble. When we cross streams, their viewership went up 40,000 people. That's proof of product that, hey, look, proof of concept. You can do it off of YouTube. You don't have to. Right. I think you use the platform as long as you can, but you need to start building alternatives. It is fundamental to the business model on the right to not change that.
And I'll just point out that we have about 120,000 more live viewers than we average with you being here. So there's something to be said for
I think
that.
Daily Wire's got some creative, like a lot of opportunity on their website. Because like if all your back catalog was on Daily Wire at no cost to anybody, and they could go into Daily Wire, log in, and then I spend 99 cents on a Crowder video, and then that money gets split between you guys. Like there's a lot of technical
Well, they're already going to be doing over 300,000 Mug Clip subscribers day one, right? Now, the issue here is let's take me out of it. Let's say you're starting your own thing, right? You're trying to come up in this movement. And the terms are being set by people on your side behind the scenes where this is the ball that you have to play. I said to Jimmy, take me out of it. It's not the right fit, which I thought, if I don't have a dog in this fight anymore, it won't fall on deaf ears when I say, hey, it's about the next kid. This can't work. We can't have a movement. We can't sell our people out. And that's how I view it. Maybe you don't. They said, this is just a business. These are the terms. But there are alternatives. You don't have to be dependent on YouTube or Facebook. And you certainly shouldn't make it fundamental to your business model when you're telling people that you're fighting them. This has been going on for years.
Here's my
and not
view.
just Daily Wire, to be clear. Not just Daily Wire. Pick a name in the movement. Most likely, yes.
Wow. You about to pick a name in the movement outside of Daily Wire. This right here is going to bring other people to the table and making videos about Steven Crowder, letting them know, you're not talking about me. We're not doing this. Look at our contracts. They're perfect. They're amazing. You should have worked for us rather than even considering DW, because they got you all salty and now you throwing shots at us for some reason.